Okay, this is a good place to start the video. This video was shot about 3 days ago, around the 1st of February, between the 1st of February, around the 3rd, 4th of February. And why I'm shooting this and why I'm putting so many videos on YouTube criticizing the HOA and the city of Buckeye and the golf course is because I'm being fined $100 a day. It started October 1st without warning, with no mail, no registered mail, no certified mail, letters that were misaddressed. If they're sent to me and the address isn't my current address, if it's my old address and they're a legal letter, a standalone legal document threatening me with foreclosure and liens and fines, don't send it to my old address. You have my new address. You send me anything legal to my new address with pictures and a certified letter where I have to sign for it. Okay? And I'm not going to sign a scratch pad. I want the registered letter that's about $15 to send. Okay? And the last one I got from the lawyer didn't have the green copy. The mail lady showed up at the door. I have a great deal of respect for her. She was my mail lady for years. I didn't want to give her a hard time, but she showed up with a letter from a lawyer that had been set with the green return receipt copy when it was mailed. And when she showed up at my door to have me take this registered letter, the green copy had been ripped off. And when I asked her, I said, "Where's the top copy? This is kind of out of line, isn't it?" She goes, "Well, I have a generic receipt here. You can sign that. I'll put the number of it on there, but you can sign it." So that lawyer letter, that was one of the first lawyer letters I ever got, and in a way, you don't have a receipt for me receiving it. Okay? I took it. I should run it through the friggin' shredder, because you don't have a receipt from me. You don't have a receipt for me for anything, and you haven't sent me any pictures. I am kicked out of the HOA. I was kicked out of the HOA over 2 years ago, okay? Because I am so resolved to get this access easement open to the public and to restore my civil rights to use it per the plat map. Now, this sign you're looking at down there, I am a Yankee who has a lot of history training in the Reconstruction down south during the war. I live on history. I love history. I watch as much as I can. And that sign right there, for me, with my knowledge, what I know about Jim Crow and Reconstruction, that sign right there is a collection of Stonewall Jackson, Nathan Bedford Forrest, General Lee, all your military Confederate heroes are all on that sign. I see KKK on it. I see "we're not going to be replaced" on it. If you see these idiots with their Trump signs out on the corners in downtown Phoenix out there going, "You're not going to replace us," that's what I see in the sign. Of course, a lot of people don't have my knowledge or my wisdom or my depth of knowledge of history. But that sign has all of that in there. Okay? It says you're not going to replace us. It says that this is our lost cause movement. We might have lost the war 3 years ago, but when we got our man, after we got rid of the, more or less the feds, whoever, we took this back. This is a statement by a redneck from Nebraska telling everybody in our neighborhood that you thought you were going to replace us. You're not going to replace us. Okay? And this is their lost cause movement. They lost that privacy right to no golf carts for over 2 years. For over 2 years, golf carts were allowed to go over that easement. And it was killing their equity. Once they lost their what they had before completely filled in with vegetation, water, landscaping, non-taxable 3,000 feet of forest and jungle added to their property for privacy, I took it as my cause to get that opened up. Okay? I'm from an urban environment. I've lived in a lot of cities. Reno, Seattle, Boston, or around Boston. I worked at Boston Airport. I worked at SFO. I lived right next to SFO on the peninsula. I've lived high density. And in high density places, you have to have access easement. People aren't stupid. They're sophisticated. They know how to read a plat map. They know what they bought on paper. And they know that an access easement, if it's an access easement for golf carts and drainage, it better well drain and it better be available to everybody. And this isn't. Okay? This is redneck. That, to me, is a Confederate statue. They came back 2 years after Jackie Meck got reelected. Once Jackie Meck was reelected, they got their statues put up. Jackie Meck getting reelected was like pulling the Union Army out of the South during Reconstruction. The slave chasers came out of the woodwork. The people that were running the plantation right after the war, or before the war, got to run it like 20 years after the war was over, when the Union troops got pulled out. Well, when Jackie Meck won the third-term election with Charlie Waters as his campaign chairman, it was understood that we're going to put a sign there. Lost Cause Movement. We're going to erect a sign. We're going to erect Stonewall Jackson, General Lee. We're going to put a KKK sign there. We're going to put a Nazi emblem there, a swastika. That's what I see here. This is an erosion of equity and civil rights. Okay? I have a civil right, per the plat map, to drive a golf cart over there. There's no asterisk to say that you could build this different than every other one on the golf course. All right? This is ridiculous. Now, we will go on. I will keep talking. And the drain. You see that drain? That drain right there is the only drain. The only 24-inch pipe to carry water out of Parcel 12. Parcel 12 is 13 acres, 63 or 65 houses. That's the only drain. If you have a storm with a lot of broken limbs and they get washed down here, we don't know what kind of storm is coming. They think they've had the 1,000-year storm. They haven't, or the 100-year storm. I think it's coming this year. After what happened in Florida, what happened in New York, what happened down south, what happened in California, these atmospheric rivers, I got a feeling we're going to get one over monsoon. And look at this. This is an abortion. Okay? They put the sign up first. When they put the sign up first, another guy who owns a golf cart drove down through here, and the man who put the rods in the yard, Dan Vasquerna, come out and challenged him. And told him, we don't want you taking your golf cart through here. And the guy went by anyway. So then they went out and got rocks to keep golf carts out of here. Now, let's proceed. See those rocks? They're impediments. You're not supposed to have any impediments. Let's read this. Areas of Sundance Adult Village community. So per community, motorized vehicles are not allowed. Common areas. Please cease driving golf carts and other motor through the... I want to tell you, the day that sign went in, for 2 weeks before that sign went in, there was nothing on the website. That's when I used to monitor the website. There was nothing on the website about ever putting a sign in. This was a complete surprise. I don't think anybody voted on it. They just one day sit down in maybe an executive session, or Charlie Waters waved his arm and waved his wand and says, we're putting a sign up there. Jackie Meck won. He's on our side. He said he was going to help us do it. We're going to do it. So there it is. Okay, now we're going to start a slow walk down this easement. And it is a walking easement because there's the dog bags for walking it. Nobody walks it anymore. The day they put that sign in there and those rocks in there, it was like body language. It was HOA body language telling everybody in this parcel, we don't want you on that easement. Now I'm going to walk it. I'm the only guy that walks this easement. I'm the only person that walks it. Okay, that I know of. We had a guy who used to walk his dogs down through here, and he used to drive his golf cart down through here. Now, we'll stop right here. Let's stop right here. Right about here, there's a crest out there. Where I'm standing is probably 6 to 7 inches lower than that crest. This whole line of easement has to fill up with water. It has to fill up with water before the water starts getting out. There has to be like 6 or 7 inches of water where I was standing before any water. That's how much of an elevation the lake has to defeat. This lake, when we get a storm and the water comes in this easement, it has to defeat. There's golf ball. On a weekend, you walk down through here on a weekend, you can pick up 5 golf balls on a windy day. Now, I want you to be, this is current. This is current. This is about 4 days old. That, to me, is a trip fall hazard. I don't know who's insuring the golf course and who's insuring the HOA, but I'll tell you what, if somebody was to walk down here some night and step into that and break their neck, it'd be possible they could die. They could break their neck and die. You find them the next morning. You could hide a squad of Marines inside there. The purpose, what I'm doing now, is I'm showing what every golfer at Sundance golf course has a right to do. This is what they have a right to do. Exactly what I'm doing with my camera right now. Every golfer at Sundance has a right to do. You see that white stake? Everything to the left is golf course. Now, this is why I'm getting charged $100 a day. They haven't described it to me. They haven't taken a picture of it and sent a picture to me to let me know. All they keep saying is, you're out of compliance with our rules and you're paying $100 a day fine. Well, if you can see, there's the tee box, how close it is to me. And I'm waiting for him to tee off because I'm going to walk along the cart path. I have to wait until they tee off. These over here were the original models. This building right there, well, I'm moving around a lot. Now here's another ditch that's been eroded out, and when I talk about that one berm that causes all the water to go to the west and doesn't allow any water in the ditch, that's where all the water that carved that ditch came from. It came off their roof, it ran down here, and the reason both of these drainage ditches are here is they've got a huge amount of dirt they put at the end of the access easement to protect the tee box. That tee box isn't supposed to be here. But like I said, those two chairs and that little raised elevation right there that give me more privacy and protect my yard from being trespassed on. What I'm doing with my camera right now is every golfer that pays a greens fee can do. They can drive down my property line, they can walk down my property line, taking pictures. Well, casing the joint. I call it casing the joint. Now, we're starting here from the tee box, or from the green. We're at the 6th green, and we're walking east. And as I said, the houses that come right up to the golf course where they can sit out are right there. They come right up to the property line of the golf course. I have one of the deeper lots. My lot is deeper. That gives me a lot more room. But I'm getting a $100 fine. And what do you see that's so drastically out of place that I have to pay $100 a day on a fine? What do you see here when you look up? I'm going to pan up there with the camera, but when you look up with the camera, what do you see that's out of place? All right, those two chairs right there are on my property. They're on my property. Now, do you see anything there? How can you see my property? If a golfer stays in his golf cart and stays on the golf course, then he doesn't have any problem with what he sees up there. What do you see up there? I'll pan it up here again. We're going to pan it several times back and forth. And right here is opposite of the executive's tees. What do you see up there that's so bad? What do you see from this cart path that warrants $100 a day fine? Are you taking your pictures and viewing my lots from my property line? Do you get out of the cart and walk up to my property line like all the other golfers do? What I put up with day in and day out, day in and day out, I put up with golfers missing to the right. These are foul balls hitting my yard day in, day out. Day in, day out, foul balls. Okay, don't tell me they're accidents. For you to tell me they're an accident, you're taking me to be an idiot, or you're an idiot for thinking that I would believe it. Okay, to think that I would believe. Now, those are my two chairs. The plants more or less cover up the thing. Okay, you can't see a lot from down here. If a golfer or anybody that inspects the houses and lots from the golf cart path, they should have no problem with what they see up there. All right? I'm doing that for privacy. Before, this is what the ladies would see from the ladies' tee box. This shot right here is what the ladies see from the tee box. Before the chairs and that berm was there, they could see into my patio. Okay? I had no privacy. I am walking point here. I'm one of the closest people to the golf course. All right? Look at this. Would you look at that? A squad of Marines could hide in there in an artillery barrage. I promise you, 4 or 5 Marines would find a way to hide in there in an artillery barrage. And look where it is. It's at the end of a walking easement, an access easement. Have any of you ever had any insurance liability? Any insurance liability? Who's carrying our insurance? How easy would it be for somebody to walk down through there at night, not lit, and step into that and break their friggin' neck? All right? Now, we have a term. There's a term out there, the land will reclaim itself. And the reason I know of this term is I grew up in a town that had a railroad bed. They carried ore to the port, and when the mines went out of business, that railroad bed, they tore up all the ties and all the rails for salvage, and the land reclaimed itself. They quit trimming. They quit trimming the shoulders of the bed. They quit doing it. They let the land and the vegetation reclaim the land. That's what they were planning to do here. That's what they do here. All right? They were going to let that all grow in and let all these bushes and vegetation reclaim the land so that we couldn't use it. Okay? I had to make this film because I feel that my resolve to get this opened up for everybody to use instead of a selfish. And one last thing before we close. As soon as he got his sign in, within 2 months or 3 months, both houses on each side of the easement were sold. And they were sold in one day. Okay, what we're looking at, and I'll zoom in, this is what Woody Skelton wrote up 10 years ago. Does that look like a drainage easement to you? Look at it. See that tree right there? That tree was 19 inches above this manhole. I had water levels. When nobody was here, when the neighborhood was young, I went and built water levels. And it was 29 feet to that tree from the sidewalk, and the tree was 19 inches above the sidewalk. Now if we back out, and I can show you where we are in the neighborhood. Okay? This is Tract A. This is a modern look at it. This is a hovercraft overlook. It wouldn't have looked that way years ago.